Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit The Fisher King, the 1991 Robin Williams, Jeff Bridges saga, if you will. So strip off all your clothes and head to the nearest park. The show's about to begin.
Hey everyone, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
This is Brian.
And we are revisiting the 1991 comedy, according to a variety of sources.
Yeah.
The Fisher King. I would never in a million years call this a comedy. Brian, how do you feel about that label, comedy?
Wait, is that how we're starting?
Or, actually, the, quote, an astonishing comedy, end quote, by Bruce Williamson from Playboy that is on the cover of the DVD. We're not beginning as we always do. No, we're not. But
we're
I just
going
can't
a little
get
off
over
script.
this. I can't get over this.
But I will say this. So I watched it on iTunes or Apple, whatever the hell they're calling it these days. So, and here's the blurb. It says something along the lines of like, behold the what was it called? It's something along the lines of like, behold the epic comic masterpiece, Terry Gilliam. And I'm like, wait a minute, comic? Epic? Comedy? Or comedy? Like,
never
it was
in a
comedy,
million years would I call this a comedy.
Comedy. I'm like, oh yeah, it was hilarious.
Which part was the most funny? When his wife gets blown away.
Oh, when he's slashed up in the park.
Yeah, that could be it too, yeah. Or when he is having visions.
Being chased through the streets by a mythical red knight.
Sure. Oh, maybe when he's comatose.
Oh yeah, that was a good time.
That might have been.
That was super funny.
That was actually hilarious.
Wicked funny. So,
oh my God.
But let's talk about then, because when we talked about revisiting this, yes. We're not giving anything away. You don't know how I don't know how you feel. You don't know how I feel. Christina, then I want to know your take then when you saw The Fisher King.
This movie,
the first time, yeah.
Seriously, it kind of scarred me.
Yeah.
It was so disturbing to me on so many levels. I could not, to be honest, here's my revelation. That's a word, right? Revelation. My revelation. When I watched this movie, there was so much of it I did not remember because there was that one scene in the restaurant that overshadowed everything in that movie that I just couldn't even... I didn't even remember a lot of this movie. I'm
really sorry. Do you mean the nightclub? It was technically a nightclub.
It was a night... I thought they were sitting and eating dinner.
No.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, whatever it was. That scene, yes. That scene was so upsetting and shocking and tragic and all of those things that I forgot a lot about the rest of the movie because every time I would think of The Fisher King, I would think of that scene. It was crazy.
Yeah. That is some real like pop culture PTSD. That
100%.
I have never. So we'll stick on that if we want. I'll just say.
Because it's still then. I mean,
yeah, true. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, keep going.
No. Go ahead. You go ahead.
So it. I don't know why. I feel like there should be a support group for people with this movie because it's the same thing for me. I was so blown away. Jesus Christ, I can't.
Going straight to hell.
Cut. So I can't. So that scene, and it's not enough that it's. So back then, it was so jolting. Yes. And it's not only jolting, it's effing graphic.
Yes.
Her face explodes on his face and glasses.
Yes.
She, not only that, she then falls. And I remembered that scene like it was yesterday, burned in my brain. It was so unexpected and jolting. Even though you know what happens, you never know how much they're going to show of it.
No, of course not.
And so I will say this, though. Sticking with then, I really loved this movie. Then.
Agreed.
I will say then I was like really just consistently surprised. I was surprised by the nudity of Robin Williams. Mm-hmm. I was surprised by the darkness of Jeff Bridges. I was surprised by Mercedes Ruehl, who I'd only ever seen in Married to the Mob and Big. I was surprised by Amanda Plummer, who I don't think I'd ever seen before in anything. And I was surprised by the subway scenes. And I was like, wow, this is really a different movie. It's a different kind of movie. It's not a comedy, but it's like, I feel like this is just about like 4 people who are afraid to love, yes. Or 3 people who are afraid to love, but one who knows what she wants but isn't getting it back. I appreciated it. So this is 91. I used to love that show 30-something, and I feel like there are some emotional similarities that I responded to that. I mean, I was only 17 or 18 years old, I guess, right?
91, yeah.
Yeah, 19, I guess. Yeah, so, 19, right? Why can't I add right now? I was 70 to 72. 92 is 2019, yeah. So I think, though, I've talked about this a lot, where, like, dramas, I really liked dramas, maybe things that were a little more deeper than... And so I appreciated The Fisher King and all the themes it was trying to do. So all that to say I liked it. Beyond that tragic scene, what did you sort of remember from this? You said nothing, but...
I remember the acting. I remember being really impressed with the acting. Mm-hmm. And I think we've talked about this before, where I do prefer Robin Williams in a dramatic role rather than a... I mean, I like him in comedies, depending on the comedy. Yeah. But I really appreciate him more as a dramatic actor. Yeah. And I think that because people are so used to him as like this crazy, wild, funny guy, it's even more
I want to say something really quickly. You, and I'm not criticizing you. You are speaking about him as if he's still alive. And I don't know if you're realizing that, but I think it speaks to Robin Williams being such a memorable person.
And I recognize that I'm speaking as he's alive. I know that.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm sorry to tell you.
Thanks for bringing me down.
Oh my God.
Just, you know what? Just like last week's Golden Pals, you're just bringing us down. No, I like him as an actor. Dramatic actor. Yeah. I know he's dead.
No, I'm just saying, like, someone might be like, oh, she's
You're the only one.
Oh, wow.
You're
okay,
it.
Fine,
You're the only one.
Fine.
Anyways, so, but I remember the performances. I thought Jeff Bridges was really, really good in it. Mm-hmm. I thought he was fantastic. I really liked Mercedes Ruehl. I'm a big fan of hers anyway. I think she reminds me of your mom. Mm-hmm. I was impressed with the movie. I felt like it was just a big performance of a movie. Do you know what I mean by that? Mm-hmm. Like, it's a big movie. Mm-hmm. And I really, I feel like they took their time in us getting to know the characters.
Yes.
And I appreciated that part.
And you're still talking about then.
Yes,
yeah,
then.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I loved the movie. I did. I loved the movie. I was just very scarred by it.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at a lot of the stuff when I was watching it this time around that I've forgotten. Mm-hmm. Because when you're thinking back to it, you're like, just kind of remember that.
Yeah.
So
we can dive into now, and
I was on the edge of my seat.
For what?
Watching this.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Dreading.
I couldn't remember when it was happening. I didn't remember when it was going to happen. Very nervous.
Christina is like literally like wringing her hands.
I am. Now. I was like, oh God, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen?
Well, because in your defense, like they keep showing little clips of it.
Yes.
So you're not quite sure when I hate to say it, but like the splatter is going to happen. Yes. To me, it's all about that splatter. Holy.
It just goes right in his face.
Right in his face.
Right in his face.
Did you ever see Macgruber?
We've had this conversation
on the podcast.
I think off.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Remember I accidentally almost showed my daughter.
Yeah. There's a scene where they kind of do something a little similar, but even that as a parody does not compare to the graphicness of that scene. Oh, it's insane.
It's insane. It's just so well done. Like, honestly, like, even just watching it now, it's just, the movie itself is so well done. He's such a dick. Jeff Bridges' character. Yep. What is his name?
Jack Lucas.
Jack. He's such a jerk. So self-centered. So, just a person you just hate. And he's so irresponsible and all of that, right? It rings true to some stories that are happening in the news as of now. Still just sort of this shock-jock kind of person, not caring how it's going to impact. So you hate him, and then here he is, he's like, thinks he's going to get like a book deal or a sitcom or something. I think sitcom. And he's dancing around in his, super wealthy apartment. The news is on, and he hears that this guy took his advice and blew away a bunch of people in this nightclub. And the look on his face, like that moment, he's phenomenal. He is just, he can't believe it. His world, he knows his world has just crumbled down around him. You actually see that he feels bad. And you're like, oh my God. And that was like the moment I'm like, wow, he is really, really, really good in this.
Jeff Bridges, I think we've talked about this before. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. From Jagged Edge to Fabulous Baker Boys to this film.
He's good. So underrated.
He is really underrated.
He's really underrated.
But I will say this. I did think, like, we've talked about this kind of thing, too, before. Like, no one was going to call him. Like, the press is how he found out.
You'd be surprised. I would be surprised. Not necessarily that someone would call him, like, a friend. I don't see him as having friends.
But his
I care enough to call him. His agents and things like that, sure.
But
more so the press. Like, who's not calling him for an interview?
Yeah, they should be hanging outside his apartment, banging on his door.
That's true, yes.
The other thing is, and when you listen to the news report, the radio station has released a statement on his behalf, but they didn't reach out to him. Like, that's a bit strange.
Yeah, that is strange.
But I agree, like, the realization of that in the acting is really phenomenal. And then it quickly, though, jumps 3 years.
Yes.
First of all, I think Jeff Bridges is phenomenal as the shock jock. I mean, he seemed very comfortable.
So good,
and and just very believable. But we instantly see 3 blasts from the past, don't we?
Kathy and Jimmy.
Yeah.
Who are the other
David
ones?
Hyde Pierce.
David Hyde Pierce, right, as his agent.
And John Delancey, who is Eugene from Days of Our Lives, and also the evil gynecologist in Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yes.
But it was like 1, 2, 3. I was like, but Kathy and Jimmy was like, oh my God, it's Kathy and Jimmy. Like,
and she was like a nobody back then.
I know, but amazing.
Amazing, but, funny.
But Christina, we say that, but 1992 is Sister Act, and that just catapulted her.
I know, it's amazing, right? What one moment would do. She's in a video store, right? And recommends Ordinary Peepholes.
Ordinary Peepholes. Yeah. Not to be confused later on when she's trying to have a conversation. Mercedes Ruehl plays Anne, who runs the bookstore, who has really sort of
video store, right?
I'm sorry, video store. What am I talking about? Video store. And Jack is like her loser boyfriend because he's all down on his luck, and she's trying to help him out. And she's trying to have a heart-to-heart with him. And the guy's like, this one guy's looking for a porn to watch, and she's like, come on, hurry up. He's like, well, I don't know which one to pick. And she's like, here, Creamer versus Creamer. It won an award. And she sends him on his way. Really funny. She's great. However, middle-aged lens. Annoying as fuck.
Yeah.
I am sorry. This guy, Jack, he's a loser, he's a bum, he's a jerk. If I am trying to eat, do not sit on my lap and try and make out with me.
It's very Carrie Bradshaw.
Oh, it's so desperate.
Right?
If I'm on the phone about a job, don't sit next to me and start kissing my neck.
Yeah, that was too much.
If I'm trying to talk about something dramatic that happened in my day, don't start unbuttoning my shirt and throwing your breasts in my face. I mean, I hate to say it was kind of one note.
Well, I think that they did this intentionally.
Okay.
I think that was a direction.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I think it was because the only way she could connect to him is through sex.
Yeah.
And it was her desperation of always trying to connect with him or to him and using sex as that way of connecting.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was intentional, but I do think it was a bit much.
I think, but again, I've seen this movie a few times when I was younger. Never crossed my mind.
No, it never crossed my mind.
As a grown up, I'm like, oh God, girl.
Yeah.
It's desperate. Don't be so desperate. Yeah. let's see. Well, forgive me was the catchphrase that he was practicing in the bathtub.
Yep. Ironic.
So, this is really effed up. I didn't remember that Jack found out who Perry was so early. Did you?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, I knew right away, and it was more... Well, Perry knew who he was right away.
Perry. You're right. I keep writing Perry.
That's
Sorry.
Okay. He knew who he was right away. And then it was... I couldn't remember... I remembered that it was early on, but I couldn't remember why Jack was seeking him out. Like, how this relationship was prolonged.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, past a passing experience.
Yeah.
So that part was interesting. And then when he... And it made sense, because if he didn't find out early on, then why would he keep coming back? Mm-hmm. Right? So
that's true.
It made sense to me that was happening. I guess I didn't really question it before.
It made sense. I just didn't remember it happening so quick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, oh, well, you know, his wife does. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, he finds out the next morning trying to leave. And yeah, that sort of dynamic reminded me. Did you ever see Grand Canyon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was a little bit of that, and I didn't feel, probably because the movie came out after, but I don't think I really remembered it from way back when. Okay, so I'm going to say something.
Okay.
I'm going to be really honest with you. The shooting scene still devastated me.
Yes.
However, I really, really think it's gratuitous through my middle-aged lens. I think it's a lot. I think I don't appreciate... It's so devastating and tragic that, like, the slow motion, the door opening, the gun raising, the bullet firing, the blood splattering. Like, it's slow motion at times. There's almost like this, like, dun-dun music when he walks in with the gun. And I just felt... It felt a bit overdone because it scarred us for life. And I'm watching it now, and it is just as horrific. Yes. But you see the gimmick of it, too. And I didn't like it.
Agree. I think that's... Yeah, I agree. I think it's a... Well, it's a middle-aged lens, but it's also a, like, movie reviewer lens.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? It's more of, like... it's not necessarily a middle-aged lens for me. It's more like, okay, I don't like that they're trying to manipulate me in this way.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, but I will say, I mean, it's oh my god, the actual gore, the graphicness of it. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, Jesus Christ, it is still so traumatic and shocking, and that's why when at the beginning of this episode we talked about that it's a comedy. It's like no, it's
not a comedy.
And I'll tell you, Mercedes
Ruehl. People
Ruehl,
don't think this is a comedy. It's
Mercedes
not.
Ruehl, you know, she won a lot of awards for this role, and one of them was like an American Comedy Award. I'm like, to see through this movie to find a comedic performance is like quite a task, because this movie is kind of a downer.
It's a huge downer.
Yeah.
It's all this, you know, self-loathing and getting over trauma. And,
yeah.
I mean, it's really, all of it is. And it's even in the Mercedes Ruehl's character, you know, it's still like a self-loathing. She doesn't think she deserves more than this asshole.
That's right.
And even after all he's gone through, like, he went from, like, a self-centered to self-loathing. Like, neither one of them are positives. And even Amanda Plummer, Lydia, she doesn't like herself.
Right.
Like, nobody likes themselves.
Yeah.
It's a huge downer.
Yeah.
It's a huge downer.
But I don't remember it being a downer.
And as soon as Perry starts to try to lift himself up out of that and start coming back, that's when this, you know, imaginary red light comes back and pushes him down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what was that quote from A Never-Ending Story? It was like, the sadness...
Yeah, if you feel the sadness...
If you feel the sadness, it will...
overtake you.
It's the same theme as that episode from a couple weeks ago. It's really just a big downer.
But Christina, I don't remember it being a downer when I watched it in 1991.
I remember it being dark, but not necessarily... I mean, I don't know if I considered it a downer back then. It was definitely dark. It was definitely drama, like lots of drama.
Yeah. I will say that there are a lot of things I loved. I loved when Anne and Lydia she's doing Lydia's nails
when they're drinking.
Oh my god!
That was the best scene in the whole movie.
The same.
Yeah,
that's my favorite scene.
Yeah,
and it doesn't even involve the guys.
It doesn't at all.
And these are supporting characters, supporting actresses, and like it is so funny. I would have watched a 25-minute scene of that nail appointment.
I agree.
It was so revealing and so charming, but they were true to their characters. Mm-hmm. And whenever Jeff Bridges opens the door and they're on the floor laughing together, I was like, oh my god, this is what I remember of this movie. This is when I really loved these human kindness moments.
Yes.
You know?
Which were very few and far between.
For sure. Well, I did laugh. The really funny part is when in the video store when they're trying to convince Amanda Plummer, Lydia, that she has won this membership, and she's so suspicious.
I love.
Which is correct. That. You should absolutely be suspicious. Yes. Because video store memberships.
What do I have to pay? So it's free, right? And then after a year, I'm going to have to pay. She's so good.
But also, I don't even remember. Were video stores, weren't they free memberships? Or was that like a sort of a... were video store memberships free? I feel like they were.
I feel like they were, but maybe not always.
Yeah. But I love that. I loved when Lydia and Perry were knocking stuff over. They were trying to help her. I thought that was funny.
It was... Perry with her was great. I loved the two of them together. They were great. When they went out to dinner. Hilarious.
Well, my second favorite scene is Robin Williams' speech on the steps.
Oh,
and I'm going to be really honest. It made me really miss Robin Williams.
Yeah, that was a beautiful moment.
Beautiful moment, beautiful script, beautiful acting, and how he just knows who she is. And that, he's basically saying, like, I've been stalking you. But he says it in a very delicate way that I think she appreciates. And she
likes that straightforward.
Yeah.
Because she's so suspicious of everybody. She thinks she's just waiting to be disappointed by people.
Yeah. And I did like how he kept saying, "Oh, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee." But I just loved that. I bought that relationship.
Me too.
And
I thought they were meant to be together.
The acting was so strong, and I really, really, really liked those. Yeah, just the human connection scenes. Because to your point, these characters are all very flawed and longing. Mm-hmm. And so when they connect, even when the women connect and the nail appointment, that's really meaningful. And it's beautifully written, beautifully acted, and that's when I think the movie really shines. But not as a comedy.
It's not a comedy. But what and what I like about it is the rest of the movie is so dark, and I mean, so much of it is the set is the dark streets of New York. It's at night. It's wet. It seems like everything's wet all the time. In the dark, in the park, and just really cold, and just a really hard, sad atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So when you have these scenes with Anne and Lydia in the living room laughing and getting drunk and just being real, it's such a break from that. Oh, I love that. It was almost reminded me of the movie does not remind me at all of this, but in The Bodyguard, when they went out to the country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was just a nice break. Give me a break from all of this. There's a lot to take in over and over again. And that was, to me, that was great. And even, that Robin Williams scene on the step, he's so crazy and odd and unpredictable and almost unbelievable that when he has that moment, it was a real moment of a person talking. Mm-hmm. And you get a glimmer of who he used to be. And that's, of course, why the flashback comes back, because he's starting to come back to where he was. But it was a break from that weird character. Mm-hmm. It just makes you relax.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why that other scene, the scene that follows, is almost more tragic and devastating, because you are sort of at a vulnerable point in the movie where you're relaxed and happy for him. And that was the part I was not on the edge of my seat, because I forgot that happened right after. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, fuck, this is it.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, the timing is really sad, and because it's he's really he's making progress again, and then it's and
then he gets
flashback
beaten.
Again. Slashed
across the chest.
Which, so when they're at the very end, when they're naked in Central Park, I didn't see a scar.
Oh, I didn't look for it.
I was like, oh wait. Which leads me to something very controversial.
Oh boy.
I've never done this before.
Oh my gosh.
On this show.
I can't wait.
I have not Googled this. I have not researched if anyone feels this way. Mm-hmm. I kind of think Perry died. And went after the slashing.
Interesting.
It went from the patients being bloody and so he's in the thing. Jeff Bridges walks by these patients, and the patients are truly, some of them, one is bleeding from his head.
Yeah.
And some of them can't walk and all these things. And then, let's see, patients were, so then if you imagine Perry dies in the bed while he's in that coma state, okay?
Okay.
The next day, Lydia shows up and she drops the bag because she thinks he's dead. But she could have imagined him singing with this group. And all the patients are bandaged. Some of them are standing up when they weren't standing up before. Uh-huh. They're laughing and smiling, and Jeff Bridges is totally committed. But what I found interesting is he goes to Anne and doesn't say a single word. I felt like he would only go to Anne if Perry had died for sympathy. When they go into the park, there is no scar on his body. And you see his chest very full on, and that's the way the camera shot. And then it turns into an animated New York City landscape for seemingly no reason. And it's also the end of the movie. And I'm like...
Brian, I love this so much.
Oh, really? Thanks. Yeah. But I just felt like... I'm like, did he die? Because... I don't know. To me, it's crazy.
Do you see him with Lydia again after that?
Well, Lydia... So what happens is he walks up to Lydia and says something. But I wonder if Lydia... I mean, Lydia could have imagined it. She was so sad. She dropped the bag. And here's my thing is that wouldn't she have heard the music when she was there? Like, I mean, it just seemed weird that she drops the bag and then it's like the music and she's like, oh... I just wonder. I'm putting it out to the universe. That is really
cool. I love that
Perry maybe died. Because why? And Jack doesn't say a word to Anne.
Well, in a way, maybe Perry did die. In the actual... Because his name wasn't Perry. It was something else for real.
Oh, yeah. It was Henry, I think, or something. Yeah.
So maybe in a way, Perry did die, and Henry survived.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that theory.
Yeah,
really,
but it's like I'm like, why isn't it's like why isn't he talking to Anne? And because remember when he went to the hospital, Anne went with him, and there's no conversation. Like Anne just takes him back, and I just wonder maybe she sensed some. I mean, yeah, and of course there's the jokey, funny thing with the videos falling on top of them. But I'm telling you, I feel like there was something else to this, and then just the animation out of nowhere. And I know the director Terry Gilliam is like Time Bandits and all these other wacky movies, but I would encourage people. To watch this and then just watch closely at the end.
Yeah,
because I'm telling you, there's one patient is bleeding profusely, and then suddenly it's like everything bathed in this sunlight and everyone's singing, and I'm like,
it's really bizarre.
Okay. Anyway, I digress. That's all I have to say.
My question was, who called Lydia? How did Lydia even know he was in the hospital?
Maybe I took that. Well, that's true.
She didn't have his number. She didn't have Jack or Anne's numbers.
We don't really know that. She would have had to have gotten to Anne's house.
But would she have called? So,
maybe they would have called her.
They have this really sweet moment on the steps.
Yeah.
And they're going to have another date. And he said, I'll call you. And then he's walking away and he's like, she didn't give me her number. Remember he said that joke?
Oh, my God,
So it's not like they didn't exchange numbers.
Oh, that actually reinforces my theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's just all a hallucination. Maybe it's Perry's ideal heaven or a sense of self. I don't know. It's weird.
But that was I'm like, how did she even get there? Who's calling her?
What would Perry want? If Perry died, Perry would want the patients to be singing and happy. He'd want Lydia to feel safe and comfortable and ready to take a chance. He'd want Anne and Jack to get back together, and he'd want to be naked in Central Park. Nice. And safe. And remember, so many times Jack said, don't go to the park by yourself. He said, I shouldn't be walking through the park by myself. We shouldn't be walking through the park together. And now they're naked. They're the most vulnerable they can be, and they're completely fine. And there's an animated skyline in front of them. Something else is afoot there.
Yeah, something's going on there. That's very, very strange.
I will say, Jeff Bridges has a great line. He's like, "It's easy being nuts. Try being me."
That is a good line. That's a really good line. I liked when he said, "Well, I wish there was a way I could just pay the fine and go home."
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I like that because I think a lot of people do feel that way with like regret, right? I just want to like pay the fine.
Yep.
And just not think about it anymore.
I completely agree. I like that as well. I thought it was complete bullshit though, and I don't have too many negatives about this movie, but this is a big one. Like he's climbing this building. Which I thought was such a waste of time, I gotta be honest.
This whole storyline in this movie, I hated.
Waste of time.
Hated every single bit of it.
Yeah, just dumb.
So stupid.
Well, also, the thing... Well, and then it's not enough he gets there, but the guy, like, has accidentally taken too many meds. Like, what, he had to save someone's life? Isn't he saving Perry's life? So...
But not if Perry died.
Oh, there you go. So to me, here's the thing, and also the grail was the whole point behind Perry, and then he had it, so he could have just died.
Well,
so here's
one. Sorry, you
can
make your point in a second. But he also has like, first of all, okay, so he's in this crazy outfit to do this. Why is he in the stupid outfit? Doesn't make any sense. Also, he has money. Why doesn't he just call the guy and see if he can buy it from him? Right? Can't he just call?
That is a fair question. Another fair question is this. Christina, he's using a grappling hook. He's scaling the building.
Yes.
When the camera cuts over his head, he is climbing at the entrance of the building. No one sees a dangling rope, and he's like, thank God no one looks up in this city.
Yeah, they had to throw that line in there. They had to throw that line in there so we would believe it.
And it's such bullshit. Yeah. All you do is you look up.
Yeah.
And you look up all the time when you're walking in New York City. And so it's like...
You don't want to make eye contact with people.
Well, that, and also, too, it's like, first of all, they're definitely going to be a tourist or something, but also, people look because there's often, like, they're almost looking for, like, danger and stuff, so it's like, or something that could fall on them out of a window. Like, so it's like, people are looking up, and also, but he climbs up at the entryway of a building. Like, why wouldn't you climb up on the side?
On the side, yeah,
it just
exactly.
It
doesn't,
sense.
It was a
such
really
a waste. That was kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, and it was a long movie. They probably could have shaved off that last 17 minutes. It was 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Yeah.
But yes, I did not like that storyline. I thought it was stupid. I didn't think it was needed. I thought him carrying it out at the end was stupid, and him placing it on Perry, and all of a sudden he wakes up like fucking stupid. Like, how about you just say, I'm sorry? Well, how much better would that be? Yeah. Is if he finally got to Perry, and like was sitting there and just said, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's what woke up Perry. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, they could have done it any other way.
I mean, it also, I think, would have been more interesting if he just, like, if he was still comatose and Jeff Bridges went through with taking care of him in a coma. So a little bit of trivia here. So the original script for The Fisher King had to be completely reworked. It was so the writer, oh my God, I didn't write his name down, but the original script, he had it written for a while, and he ended up, Rain Man came out in like 88, and he immediately went back and had to rewrite multiple parts of this film.
Interesting.
Or the script, because it was very similar to Rain Man in terms of that relationship.
Yeah.
So, and then, I guess originally, Billy Crystal was in talks for the Jack.
So glad it wasn't him. I can't. For Jack or Perry?
Jack.
Oh, God. I wouldn't want him for either one, to be honest, but...
This film got a number of Oscar nominations: actor, supporting actress. It won for Mercedes Ruehl. Screenplay, art direction, and original score. It was made for $24 million. It made $42 million. So not a huge box office hit, but a big Oscar nominated film. And oh my goodness, the only other note I really have, and I'm jumping the gun here, but is his name Michael Jeter, the actor who plays the homeless cabaret guy?
Oh, yeah.
So when I was young, I had a problem with him because he was very gay, and there aren't too many gay characters in film. Am I keeping you awake, Christina?
A little bit. Sorry, it's been a long day.
So, but you know what his character's name is?
What is it?
Homeless cabaret singer.
Oh, Jesus.
They didn't even give him a name.
What?
I know.
On.
So, they couldn't even give him a name. I said, mostly annoying until the big musical number in the publishing house for Lydia. I really liked that scene. I didn't care for it when I was younger. I appreciate it more now. Everything coming up roses.
That was very cute. Yes, I actually really enjoyed that one too. I also really enjoyed the scene when he is following Lydia. They haven't met yet, and they are in Grand Central Station, and everybody just starts dancing.
Yeah.
And it was just obviously his vision of everybody dancing. I thought that scene was really sweet.
Beautiful.
Really, really, I love that scene a lot.
Terry Gilliam, that was his creation. That wasn't in the script. It was supposed to go a different way, and he's like, what if everyone started dancing? And it's total fantasy.
Yeah.
And it really works. I think it was a really nice scene.
And I did like the fight with Anne and Jack when she was finally...
So good.
It was so real.
Yep.
Although I will say, she really jumps the gun. He's on cloud 9. He's getting his job back. Yeah. He's feeling vindicated and healed. And she's like, okay, let's move out. Let's get a new house. And da-da-da-da. And I mean, that was a bit much. So I could see him kind of pushing back.
Yeah.
But I loved how fed up she was. And she was
he was so evil to her.
Totally. And he's just... Yeah, and I did actually kind of like the fact that he turned back into the asshole. Like,
instantly. So to me, that was abrupt. To me, that was almost more abrupt than her reaction.
Well, it was kind of like he paid the toll. Mm-hmm. I think that's really what he was kind of feeling like. Okay, I paid the toll, and now I can move on with
my life back. Yeah.
And then he's obviously realizing that he can't. But yeah, I mean, it was a matter. I thought it was a little abrupt that he's getting job offers all of a sudden.
That was weird too.
But
I think to me it opened up an idea that he was the one who couldn't get over like you said. Perry couldn't get over his wife, and then Jack really couldn't get over the tragedy he inadvertently caused.
Yeah, I agree.
I do have a match game if we're more or less are about the same.
I have one more line from Mercedes.
Let's hear it.
After everything is done and he comes back, after Perry survives and everything else, and they're going to get together, and he comes back to talk to her, she says, "There's no more stuff, Jack. It all got burned accidentally."
God, she's so good. I didn't write down. She has some really great moments, and it's a good script. I think that you mentioned the fight, and when she ever says like, what have we been doing here other than time? Yep. And it's so good.
It's so true.
It's so true. It feels really real. And then I feel like everyone of a certain age has felt that at one point or another in a relationship. The other thing is I love, and I mentioned this earlier, the video store scene where Lydia comes to claim her prize or whatever.
Yes.
And I loved Mercedes Ruehl. Her face the entire time was so priceless because they're like promising her all these things, and she's like, "They're $4.99 or whatever, or if they're $5, whatever it is, And I don't know. I loved it. Like she was like, "Listen, I still have a business to run for God's sake."
And she was pissed because she was so rude.
Oh my God! Wait, really quick. How about when the date's over and they're in the vestibule, and she's like, "I'm proud of you, Jack. You did this all for him." And I'm like, well, it's not really true. But also, she did more than he did.
Yeah.
She was entertaining a stranger. She gave a bunch of free shit of her own business. Mm-hmm. I would argue Anne did more than Jack did.
Yep. And that's probably why he had to steal the stupid grail.
Maybe.
The cup.
Christina, more, less, about the same.
I think I liked it more. I mean, I liked it a lot then.
Yep. Yeah.
But I liked it more because I was able to, I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
I was a little stressed about that, but I knew what was coming. And I could really enjoy the performances as much as they, just a little bit of the comedy, a little bit, because I forgot about any of the comedy, to be honest. I forgot about any of it. So I was able to like enjoy a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think I loved it then. For me, I think I liked it a little less. Mm-hmm. To me, it was just like, I think it's about the tone. Like we talked about, it's like, is it a comedy? Is it drama? Like, is it, like, you know, it's like, like, it was just the inconsistent tone with it. And some of the fantasy stuff didn't always work out for me, but I think just a little bit less. But only because I liked it so much before.
Sure. So on Patreon, Brian,
yes.
we are going to have a poll. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we'll have a poll. We're going to have a poll.
Yes.
We are going to have a poll to find out what our patrons feel about Robin Williams, if we think that he's better as a comedic actor or a dramatic actor. But in addition to that, we have both written reviews of our favorite comedy from Robin Williams and our favorite dramatic role of Robin Williams. So check out patreon.com/oldroommates to hear what we have to say.
And your choices shocked me, Christina. There, I said it.
Well, yours did not shock me. There, I said it.
Okay.
All right. Do you have a match game?
I do.
I do too.
Okay, Christina.
We haven't had an FMK in a long time.
Okay.
I was thinking about that.
Oh, you could do one. Here we go. So, you know, as we know, Anne loves her porn. She's really quick to recommend movies. She's recommended, as we know, Ordinary People and Creamer versus Creamer. But the only reason she recommended those ones is because her favorite one was already rented out. Oh. I am speaking, of course, about Anne's favorite porn, Raiders of the Lost Blank. Oh, shit. Hold on. Please hold.
Good. Give me more time to think.
Oh, my God.
Just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. All right. Ding.
Okay. Ding. To me, I had two answers.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. So, her favorite porn, Raiders of the Lost...
Cock.
Yeah! I have cock. So, I circled, as you can see, I squared off cock, but under it I wrote ass. Because like arc, ass, yeah.
Well, but cock.
Cock.
Like
well, it's arc.
I mean, I know what it is. So critical.
You are so cranky.
Well, you know what? I think you're a little critical today.
Oh my God.
So, there.
Okay, Christina, I'm ready for yours.
All right, so Perry and Lydia.
Yeah.
Eventually, well, unless your theory holds true.
Okay.
Pretend it didn't. Eventually had children.
Oh my gosh.
I know, they got married, had children. But unfortunately, they weren't the best parents.
Oh no.
In fact, instead of sending them to school each day, they sent them to blank.
Oh, there you go.
He's thinking. He's really thinking. They just didn't, not a lot of common sense, I guess. not a lot of common sense. Forgot to send them to school. We need an answer?
Jesus, give me a minute!
What?
Oh my
God,
this is tough!
Over.
Alright, fine. It's not even a... Oh my God.
Oh my God. He just wrote something and then scribbled it out. And now he's writing something else.
Okay, here we go. This is bad.
Alright, it's fine.
We're not going to match. We're not going to match.
The listeners don't
I'm really
care.
disappointed.
The listeners don't care.
Oh!
They've already shut us off. Perry and Lydia eventually had children, but unfortunately they weren't the best parents. In fact, instead of sending them to school each day, they sent them to...
The carnival?
Okay, well that would be a bad parent.
Yeah.
But they're in New York, so I think they would send them to...
Coney Island!
Central Park.
Oh, okay.
Because he liked to go to Central Park.
I know, but they're so wacky. I didn't think about the New York connection. I would have said Coney Island.
No, I think they would have been like, oh, it's okay that you're 5. Go play in Central Park for the day.
Well, I mean, Coney Island is like an F train to the last stop on the F train, but it's crazy. That was the Fisher King.
That was it. And that's it for us in this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, YouTube,
or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you're interested in more Old Roommates, including special episodes, bonus content, movie recommendations, and more, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/oldroommates. Comments and ideas can be emailed to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Old Roommates.
Thanks again for listening. This is Christina.
And this is Brian. Until next time.